Hi, this is Colin with Maker Farm. In this video we're going to show you how to build the X-Idler assembly for the Prusa i3V that uses the aluminum extrusion. To do this, make sure you download the build guide from makerfarm.com. Go ahead and pull up the page that has the X-Idler on it. Gather all those materials from the X-Idler page, and then you can start. I'm going to start with this piece here. Just like the other one, it has an arrow pointing to the right hand side of the machine. We're going to get 3 idlers, just like in the X motor video, and we're going to assemble those. You're going to use your 625 bearings. You're going to use some M5 washers, and then you're going to put those on some M5 bolts. To do that, first thing you do is get your bolt, put it on a 625 bearing, put on an M5 washer, go ahead and push your idler on, put another 625 bearing on, and do that for all 3 of these. Okay. Then, just like the other one, we're going to get 2 of the aluminum spacers, and we're going to get 1 of the eccentric spacers. Do the same thing as the other one. Find the thick part of the piece, and then just mark that so that you know the easiest way to adjust it. Okay, so now with our X-Idler here, we're going to get 4 more of the M5 12mm long bolts, and just like the other one, we're going to install those on going through the back side of our X-Idler. The back side will not have the R in the arrow. The front side will have the R in the arrow. Okay, so now that we've got them set up like that, there's the front side, there's the back side. Now we're going to take one of our idlers and your aluminum spacer that is going to go on the back side here. Get another one that will go up on the top. You're going to want to get an M5 lock nut and just put it on those 2 bolts that we just barely installed that have our idlers on them. Use your wrench to hold on, or pliers if you have pliers. And we're going to tighten those down just like in the X motor. Don't tighten it too tight. You want to make sure that your idler still turns freely. If it doesn't turn freely after you tighten it up, loosen it up a little bit. Do the same thing for the other one. Okay. Next one we're going to do is get the very last one. We're going to put that eccentric spacer on there, and just like the other video, it's going to push into that hole right there. If it doesn't push in all the way, it will seat itself when you tighten it down. And then on the back side, before we put our lock nut on there, you're just going to want to put an M5 spacer on there. Or sorry, M5 washer. And then put your lock nut on. Hold on to it with your pliers or your wrench. And tighten it down, but don't do it too tight. You want to make sure that it turns freely. Perfect. Okay, so we've got that. The second to last piece we've got this rectangular piece with 4 holes. You're going to get another one of your long M5 bolts. I'm just going to put it through there. You're going to get an M5 washer. You're going to want to get 2 of these little tiny bearings. You received 4 of them in the kit. They're just little tiny ones. You're going to go ahead and put 2 of those on, then put on 1 washer again, and then you're going to put on a regular M5 nut. If I can find my M5 nuts here. There we go. So it'll look like that. Later on in the build, what we're going to do after this is installed on our machine, this is going to go here, and our belt will wrap right around there. But we're not going to connect them right now. We can just leave them like that. Actually, I forgot there is going to be this wooden spacer right there. That's going to keep our belt on track. Then you can put that nut on there. So when it's all assembled, eventually it'll sit just like that. But we're not going to need to put it on there quite yet. Okay, the last piece we've got is these 2 little pieces here. These also are on the X motor. We didn't assemble them on there. There's one on the X motor and one set on the X idler. What you're going to want to do, these are going to slot in up here when we get it done. But first, you're going to look, and there's an M5 nut trap right here. One side is going to be a loose fit for your M5 nut to go in. The other side will be kind of tight. Okay, what we want to do is get our piece here. The side that is tight, we want to touch this other piece of wood piece. So basically we have the loose side on the bottom, and that's going to help so that when our M5 nut eventually goes in there, as it goes up, it's going to get tighter into our piece. And then all we need to do is get 2 16mm long bolts. These are M3 bolts. And 2 lock nuts. Just put those lock nuts on. Hold it with pliers or a wrench. Tighten it down. Sometime before you tighten it all the way down, it's a good idea to get one of your big long M5 bolts and get a regular non-locking M5 nut. And if you get that bolt, put it in that hole, and put the nut on there and tighten it up. This just basically helps us keep it all aligned properly. Before we tighten it all down. That way it's perfectly aligned. Okay, so once you get that in there, then you can tighten these lock nuts down. like that. Then you can remove that bolt and that nut. Okay, so then your finished piece will look just like that. And what's going to happen, we're not going to put it in there now, I'm not going to assemble it now, but you're going to have that piece sit right there, and later on this piece will sit right here after we get our extrusion in. You can go ahead and assemble this piece for your X motor also at this time. The assembly process is the exact same and they're identical. So if you have any questions, make sure to refer to your build guide. At the back of the build guide or at the front of the build guide, there'll be contact information where you can get a hold of us if you have questions as well. Thank you.